Hey, it's ZillaJam17 here, back with another video. Finally got something that I've been waiting for in the mail. I have the new Hiya Toys Godzilla X Kong figure. Check this guy out. So I'm really excited to get my hands on this. I know it's the new updated Kong model compared to what they came out with. So without further ado, let's check this figure out. And here is the box for the Hiya Toys Godzilla X Kong figure. So we have a nice visual of the figure on the front, title of him on the side. We got him in that ready fighting boxing pose on the back. So let's get this guy out of the box. Let's go ahead and do one of these. And so right out the box, here he is in this plastic case here. And I love seeing all the different accessories that this figure comes with. Anytime we get a figure that comes with a bunch of options for displaying said figure on our shelves in different ways, A+ in my book. Thanks, Hiya. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a closer look at this guy. All right, so here he is, out of the box, out of plastic. Get a full range view of the figure in this kind of 360 kind of pose. Do a little zoom in here. Look at his big old Kong dumpy right there. But yeah, initial impressions when I got him out was they, like with anything with Hiya, lots of detail, lots to really love about this figure. Again, just the amount of accessories they give you really gives you some options to, you know, how you want your Kong figure to look. And like I said before, with Kong being one of the more emotive kaiju or monsters in the legendary movies, I think that's what you want out of a Kong figure. You want options. You want to be able to have your Kong be able to express himself in different ways. So they really nailed that with this figure. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. So on his own, I did have concerns on whether or not he would have issues, you know, being able to hold himself up, but you know, messing with him in different poses and things like that, I haven't had any issues. That just might be with my personal experience. I don't know how anyone else has, what their experience has been with Kong. But again, if you just take a really closer look at him, they really went all out on this guy, and that is something I've come to expect with Hiya and their legendary figures. You know, I haven't really gotten a chance to see some of their takes on the classic kaiju from Godzilla, but with my experience with their legendary monsters is they nail these guys, you know, in my opinion, almost every time. So something they did different with this Kong figure compared to their, I believe, first release is that, and I hope this being able to seen on camera, the eyes, instead of what you would expect from these kind of figures to be painted on, are actually like glass, or maybe, yeah, I think glass eyes. Get a close look at that. You can see that those are not painted on. They're little glass eyes. And to me, I think that really goes a long way with kind of making this figure more, I don't know, I don't want to say lifelike, because, you know, it's a toy, but it really does feel more like it's Kong looking at you. So that was something I was really impressed with. As you can see, they've taken the attention to detail of adding the scars with this fight from Godzilla, you know, from his chest. He's got this big gnarly scar on his back. So let's go ahead and take a look at the different accessories that this Kong comes with. So as shown before, this Kong figure comes with lots of accessories. So we have 3 different head options. Out of the box, he has his neutral head on. You also have his roaring head, which also has the added detail of the silver tooth from the movie, when he gets that little tooth extraction sequence. There's also a snarled mouth look, So you have your 3 head options there. We have, I believe it's 3. No, that would be, so it's 1, 2, 3. So you have 4 sets of hands. So out of the box, he has like these kind of open grip hands. That's what I have over here on his right hand, which allows him to hold his axe. He also has fist hands. You know, if you want to get that classic Kong boxing pose, ready to put up a fight. We have what looks like to be some kind of knuckle walking hands that you see like kind of great apes doing, Kong doing in the movies. And there's also his kind of like open kind of posed hands. And on his right hand, they've added in the extra detail of, I believe this is when he fights Scar King and the whip cuts up his hand. And so it's all bloodied up. And so this could be like, you know, again, just more options for you to pose with your Kong figure. And I'm glad to say, at least in my case, that for Kong, when you're switching out accessories like, you know, his head or his hands, that it is a pretty smooth process. You just kind of hear that little pop and you have your new Kong pose. So now let's go ahead and look at the articulation side of this figure. So as I said, many different accessories, able to swap out to how you want your Kong to look like. But when looking at the actual articulation itself, very impressed with the articulation of this figure. So you're able to do a whole, get some Kong T-pose action. Looking at his head, it is on a ball joint, so you have the option to move the head around. Arms, ball joint. You can do some range in his forearms to kind of raise his arm up or down. It does twist, full 360. Hands also on the ball joint, so you can also have the option to swivel it around. That goes for both hands, 360 motion. Shoulders are pretty locked in place, so it's really here at the arm that you have that swivel. Over here, same thing, able to kind of move his forearm up and down. Hand, ball joint swivel, so you can move it around. And then able to get your Kong into that, you know, fighting pose like we saw in the box in the movies. Chest, could kind of swivel it side to side. Can get that full 360 motion. Able to swivel it kind of up and down from the waist so you could get some more motion on your Kong. The legs, I believe, are also on a ball joint. You can bend the knee. So lots of motion there in the leg. So you could get your Kong more into like a crouch pose. You could have him stand straight up. And he will do almost what you can imagine with him, how you want your Kong to look like. All right, so let's see how he looks in scale compared to other Hiya release figures. So this is the Hiya Toys Shimu figure that came out earlier this year. So looking at these two side by side, like what many people have felt, this figure is kind of a little underscaled to how she is in the movie. Me personally, it doesn't bother me too much. You know, I have limited shelf space. I do need more shelves, but that's a whole other thing. It doesn't upset me too much to see, you know, Kong being a little bigger than he might appear compared to Shimu, but yeah, so this is him with Shimu. Now, this is him next to a Hiya Toys Godzilla. This is the Godzilla from the King of the Monsters movie. I only have this one and the Burning version. I do not have any of the newer Godzillas. I'm currently waiting for some of those to come in, but looking at these two together, it feels like they're pretty close in scale. This Godzilla might be a little bit bigger, but maybe that's because it is the Godzilla from King of the Monsters. I don't know if the newer figures from the New Empire have been scaled down a little to be a little bit closer to how these two are scaled with each other in the movies. But, overall, I feel like, again, scaling wise in my figures, it's not a big deal that he might look a little bigger compared to Kong. But, just something to keep in mind. This is how he might appear to be scale wise with, other Hiya Godzilla figures. So, looking ahead, there is a discussion we had that there is a variant of this figure coming out soon. Hiya likes to kind of do like the base model, and then they'll do like with their Godzillas, they'll do like a base version, they'll do some recolors, they'll do some heat ray versions. So with Kong, as we know in the new movie, gets a new accessory with the kind of gauntlet, the yellow gauntlet that goes on his right hand, or what I like to call it, the power fist. Shout out to my Fallout fans. He gets a gauntlet. They're coming out with the gauntlet, Beast Glove gauntlet version for Kong very soon, I believe within the coming weeks or month. The only difference from what I understand between those figures is that this one comes with the axe, the one that he gets from Godzilla vs. Kong, and he uses in the beginning of the new movie, whereas the new one has the Beast Glove Gauntlet. You still get the same heads, you still get the same hand options, except, obviously the new hand options, I believe they'll still be in the kind of the same pose, but with a Beast Glove on. So, I kind of see two sides of this. I believe there's an opportunity with the new Kong figure to have, different options of accessories. So maybe different head poses, different hand poses. And that way, if you get both figures, you have kind of this like super collection of Kong accessories for your Kong, kind of like little reward for, those super collectors of getting both versions. But at the same time, and I feel like I'm a little bit in this boat, is there's some people that want to just get a Kong figure and not feel like they're missing out on extra stuff because they didn't get both versions or they didn't get the other version. I personally chose this Kong figure because it comes with the axe. Now maybe other people like the Beast Glove Gauntlet version of Kong more, and they want to get that version because it has the glove. And they want to make sure they get that version and still have, these accessories that this Kong came with, 2 heads, 4 sets of hands. So, there's definitely 2 sides to that argument. I think it's just, with how things are these days, make the best choice for you. Me personally, I like Kong with his axe. I'm not really a big fan of the new Gauntlet upgrade that he got in the new movie, but, if you like the Gauntlet version, get that one. If you like the axe version, get this one. If you like both, get both. You spend your money, do what makes you happy. But that's where I am with this. So with that said, this will be the end of my review of the Hiya Toys Godzilla x Kong figure. Again, this is the first version to come out. They have the Beast Gauntlet coming out soon. I like my Kong with his battle axe, so I chose this one. Again, want to thank Hiya Toys for releasing another wonderful, highly articulated, detailed figure. They're always nailing it with these guys, and they make it very easy for me to keep collecting their stuff. Very eager to get their new Toho Classics and future MonsterVerse stuff, so I'm looking forward to everything and anything Hiya. Also want to give a quick shout out to INS Hobby. They make it a lot easier these days to get my hands on these figures. They have options of putting some money down to pre-order and paying it down later. Not promoted by them, but just wanted to shout them out. That's an option if you're wanting to purchase your figures. And yeah, again, want to thank you for watching this video. I am appreciating all the support I'm getting on here on YouTube and the other socials like TikTok, Instagram, where I do short content. Here on YouTube, I get to have these longer recordings and discussions on Godzilla, and I just appreciate those that have been coming around and liking what they're seeing. So if you like this video, give a like, subscribe, stay tuned for more. Got some more stuff coming down the line, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.